Questions are welcome. Questions are welcome. Anybody that wants to challenge something that I'm going to say, please challenge it. But Laura, if that's okay, I can go ahead and kick it off so that we can get
Perfect.
to um, some of my favorite things, fraud and AML and things like that. Okay.
Sounds good.
Let me see. Share my screen. Um,
And thanks again, Archie, for hosting this and recording it for us. It's a huge help.
No worries. It's been some great discussion so far. I'm sure today would be no different.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So a little bit different of a perspective today, I think, is when we kind of put there's going to be some materials because I know a lot of the questions on wallets and digital assets are very focused on types of wallets, right? So we talk about hot wallets, cold wallets, software wallets, uh, hardware wallets, and somewhere in between. But today I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to this because I think there's a lot of good education, and we're going to include some of that in the appendix. But on the type of wallet, but over the last, coming out of my specialty of B2B payments and kind of digital identity, over the last several years, and I'll flip to the next kind of slide is over the last several. Oh,
Patrick, I don't see your slide. It's
you
still
see
showing
my slide. You just see everybody talking.
Yeah, I see your display. There we go. Yeah.
And me talking. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
try to redo it. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. What about now?
Yeah, now I see the PowerPoint.
There we go. Okay. Apologize for that. I've got 3 options on Discord, so I always choose the wrong option the first or second time. But anyway, part of for my own education, and sometimes the best way to learn is to teach. And as coming out of kind of like I said, my experience in digital identity and kind of data platforms and all of that, as I wanted to get more versed in digital assets, especially with my former employer, who is a major payments player in the space, how could I learn a little bit more and accelerate my knowledge in what I'm going to say just digital assets or crypto. And when I started tutoring, lots of people actually over the last couple of years, and I say lay because these are normal people that are interested in the space. They see an opportunity, they want to learn more, and like I said, very enthusiastic consumers. A lot of it comes down to, and this is kind of taking a step back, is managing and optimizing your crypto wallets from a consumer's perspective is a balancing act. And I took the very approach. I can't give you financial advice, right? I can help enable you and to give you education and kind of knowledge, right? So that you can do this and help guide your path almost like as an independent consultant. And it really comes down to this balancing act of what is, between safety and security and convenience and ease of use. And I think that's something that's very important is like, how do I manage to deploy my crypto easily and securely? That's a question that we all should answer. And this is kind of a risk tolerance question that, consumers, and I'll speak to a little bit about the businesses, should ask themselves. And each of these is unique, right? So this is kind of a rhetorical question that I think we all should ask ourselves as we become more sophisticated and more knowledgeable in the space that is, dynamically changing over time. And I think that what is here, and these are very, kind of different. There's all kinds of functionality, and I probably have experimented with nearly 25 different wallets just to learn, just to learn about before I could advise or tutor people on it, I wanted to make sure that I knew how to do that. So, while it's very greatly in functionality, I know this group probably is very, familiar with that. We've seen a lot more, ease of use, ease of transfer, the coins that they support, which is kind of a revolving door, different types of hardware and kind of even browser requirements or even operating system requirements and others. And those are just some of the things that have become or some of the functionality that I think as you become more versed in this space, especially as a consumer trying to optimize and kind of manage your crypto, things that you have to be aware of. And in this, I'm not going to kind of like um, tout any kind of specific wallet because I think they all have their advantages and disadvantages and even personal preferences. But just some things to think about. So these are these are kind of frequently asked questions that I get. It never fails that I get asked by consumers that are kind of getting into this space. How do I set up my wallet? What are my secret word or my secret seed keys? The vocabulary that we have to educate so many people on. Why are there so many different kind of different keys? Why are there different lengths of seed phrases? Where should I put them? Right? What if I lose my secret words? How do I cash out? How do I buy? And what type of wallet is this, hot or cold? So the reason I say all this is for educational purposes, and that they and to kind of make a point that they're all the functionality is very very different, or functionality is the same, but the kind of the application of the functionality is a little bit different. And I was just going to pause right there. If anybody has any reactions or any kind of wallet, lessons learned that they've learned or that they would suggest to the group as they've gone through, managing their own digital assets.
No, I think Patrick, you said it well in terms of trying to find balance in all of this. And for me, over time, it's become about utility in terms of what do I need that crypto for? Do I need it now? Is it going to be something that I need to keep liquid, or is it something that I'm truly storing? And as we think about how the marketplace, kind of develops, I think that's an important consideration. So for me, it's like different wallets for different purposes, right? Just kind of like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's kind of like what do they say? I've got my investments for my short term or my emergency, and then in the middle I have my protection, and then I have my growth, right? And I think you hit on a good point about what's the purpose and what type of wallet makes sense for my liquidity and my investment purposes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a proportional scale between convenience and security that you're always having to consider the risk impact for.
Anybody else? Okay, cool. So and I think this is kind of what we were kind of like going to. I realize now I think that there should probably be a little bit of another slide or educational material on what we just talked about is kind of the management and the optimization of crypto from kind of a financial perspective. But what I have found with people that are, like I say, kind of getting into it and kind of, I would say, much more beginner to kind of intermediate, but is to, we want to have a life. We've got other things to do, but set up an easy to use wallet that is on the colder side of the spectrum. Some of us like Exodus that I've talked to around here seems to be provide the functionality. It seems to be, from my perspective or my students' perspective over the last couple of years, one of the easier wallets for them to kind of grasp. And like the second thing is kind of, making sure, and Laura and I talk about this all the time, is and a lot of my students have a ton of crypto that is sitting on, on an exchange somewhere. And the first thing that we try to do is try to get it into something like a little more secure, that is not an exchange that's on the web somewhere. And then, kind of balancing that, what you need it for, as well as, only leave coins on the exchanges that you cannot store in your wallet of choice, and kind of managing that approach so that you do have, you are managing your wallets appropriately to kind of fit your risk reward kind of ratio. And a lot of times that a lot of people have a lot of, it's this Roach Motel. It's like, I've got a lot of crypto, or I bought a lot of crypto. And for some reason, one of the first things that they say is like, how do I cash it out for fiat, right? And they can't do that because of sometimes understanding the functionality that normally, a wallet is a secure storage location. You can do certain things on the, from a crypto perspective. But one of the first things that we do is, how do I get my, my crypto out of there? And I find it funny that a lot of people have crypto and they don't know how to convert it to fiat. So those are just, and I think, going back, I think we can edit these a little bit and kind of have a more of a, include some of the investment aspect of it, or, going back to make sure that we can add a little bit more flavor here. But one thing that I would kind of leave it with before we kind of turn it over to our guest speaker today is, I wanted to talk a lot about, because I know, what the market is doing right now. And I think that my perspective in like what businesses are doing, right? Because businesses are very interested in securing their digital assets, right? Much like consumers, but you have added complexity here in like the B2B space. And I think that there is a balance between safety and security and, the business value that they see. And the type of value of their assets will determine their risk-based approach. And I think that's what we were talking about a few minutes ago. But I think, in terms of simplifying it a little bit, is they're on a journey, and B2B kind of lags behind where consumer, demand is, although there are differences, and they kind of like learn from consumer, but it's not like a one-to-one apples comparison. But I think they'll utilize their digital assets much like the corporate treasury teams do now, right? Where they've got multiple bank accounts, right? They are managing their short-term needs with their long-term investments, and managing some of those, really more of those macroeconomic factors, right? Like what we're seeing in the Ukraine right now, or whether it will be, some sort of other type of weather event or whatever that their economists are saying. But balancing with the safety and security, right? The type of asset they have and the business value that they'll provide. But I think it's going to take, but I think it will be much more like, kind of how they do manage their currency now. So I wanted to do a B2B plug, because that's, again, selfishly, that's my kind of specialty. And I'm very interested to see where corporates, are finding the traction with blockchain type of technologies beyond cross-border, and what they're doing and beyond smart contracting, and how they're starting to manage it on their balance sheet. So with that said, any questions? I went through that a little bit fast today.
I'll add on to that too, Patrick. We'll add. I think that was a good point made by Mark about measuring your utility, and we can add that slide in there before we post in the resources channel. And then we also have an appendix at the back end of that PowerPoint that has more specific information about the different types of wallets the pros and cons, and then a video, just like a basic video for wallets, not ours, but we found a good one. And what we're going to do with that information is we're going to post it in the resources channel. So if you are talking to your own community, whether physical or virtual, if you want to use that framework of the slides to frame up that conversation about wallets and start those discussions, you're welcome to use it. And if you have suggestions on like any slides you think that we should add into that, feel free to ping me. So we'll make those resources available for anybody else who wants to use it. If you have any questions about that. And I don't want to, I know Sasha is so busy, so I'm dying to have so many questions. So we can always circle back to more in depth of our own personal wallet discussions. But if we're ready, we could open the floor to Sasha for questions about security and wallets and that sort of thing from her perspective as an investigator. Everybody ready for that?
Real quick, we have a comment in the chat channel.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's from Amar. So he has a comment. He's saying that one point that he would like to make is that you have to do due diligence on your crypto wallet provider. And he just mentions terms of service and legal jurisdiction. He's typing over there right now. So.
Excellent point. Excellent. I think I live and breathe that part of it so much that I kind of forget about it. But that's a really good point. And also, look at how long they've been around, and there's all kinds of, telltale signs. Also, when Patrick said, what kind of currencies do they have, they might say they have this currency, but can you withdraw that currency? That's a really big thing that's been in our community specifically as a topic of discussion. So there are a lot of factors there that while you're researching what wallet to use, there's a lot of factors to take in there.
And I think that's what we want to do from an educational perspective as we keep knowledge of, wallets that we recommend and why we recommend them and what utility that they have. So individuals don't have to go out, that's a little bit easier to point them in the direction for what the purpose of it that they're trying to achieve. And then if it's kind of been vetted by, the educational community or somebody else with, that has some proof points behind it. Oh, but I can't recommend anything.
Well, it's not so much a recommendation, but it's just like, what's the purpose of why you need the wallet? And then what are the wallets in that family? And then people can like narrow down that search. So you can kind of say, okay, what's that functionality for that wallet? And then they can do research on their own. But I mean, I know a lot of people in here, like the minute a new wallet comes on screen, everybody's like going onto their website, looking at like Mara saying their terms of service, are they registered? They want to have AMAs, how many developers do they have? There's a lot of questions about that. And I think that Sasha could probably give us a good, kind of deeper understanding about these companies that they've seen that maybe are shady wallet companies. So, any other questions before we open the floor for Sasha or comments? Okay. Well, okay. I've got like one big, I've got one big huge question for you, Sasha. That if we can to kick it off. One reason I wanted a member of Cipherblade to come on as a guest speaker was I know Rich Sanders a little bit, that one of the founders of Cipherblade, and he really opened my eyes into another part of this whole space about how fraud works and that sort of thing. It was a rough awakening, but it also made me realize there's these perspectives from your field, and you see from the other side of the table the common errors that people have at that pain point of the wallet. What makes them vulnerable? What are some common things that you see that you you all see a pattern of, either mistakes or vulnerabilities that you have to deal with in like fraud or someone stealing someone's funds. If you could maybe talk to that point, what's some common things that you guys have seen in your investigations?
Yeah, can you just confirm that you hear me? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
weird.
There were some notifications here. I'm still, learning how to use Discord, so just to be sure. Okay, so yeah, I was actually planning to kind of talk about some common root causes and typologies that we get, especially with like newbies and intermediate users. And also, the professionals are not immune, because a lot of professionals kind of get the sense of false security. And there's a point when you start to hack yourself for convenience. I think this was something that was mentioned, because when you don't have enough convenience and you kind of put everything into security, you start to circumvent security just to get something done faster, and then you forget about it, and then it's a problem later on. So a lot of hacks that happened lately with large projects happen because the projects were hacking themselves, because they thought they had like security in terms of like multi-signature wallets and several levels of security, but in fact it was just a single point of failure. So let's start with the basics. The most common way of compromise is actually the owner leaking their own seed. So no matter how good your security is, if you just give your seed to someone, you have a problem, right? So this happens when people are inexperienced and they think that they have to quote unquote verify their wallet, for example. This is one of the common scams. They get on a spoofed site of, I don't know, like Ledger Live or MetaMask, some of these well-known wallets, and they get a prompt to verify their wallet. They enter their seed, and that's it. This is one of the most common scams where people lose a lot of funds, because people who don't know that you shouldn't verify your wallet are usually people who invested a lot, because they thought they have their savings, they have their retirement funds, and they thought they're going to be safer if they kind of invest in something new, which is okay. But if you don't get into it a little bit deeper, not just scratching the surface, it becomes problematic, unfortunately. And the funds go fast. These are whole networks that cycle funds from a lot of victims, and the funds get mixed up, and it's very, very hard to kind of find where they end up sometimes. Then the other thing is SIM swaps. This is also something that is very common and prevalent. And how does one get hacked due to a SIM swap? Even though you set up a wallet, for example, you set up even a ledger. If you set up a ledger and you follow the instructions, but maybe you took a picture of your seed just to have it handy, and then that picture got uploaded to your cloud, and then you had maybe like a two-factor authentication somewhere. You had an exchange account, and that two-factor was linked to your phone, and that phone also was connected to your email address, and then someone got your data from a leak that you were in, because you registered for some kind of a service or something. And once that SIM swap happens, the hackers are really fast and they get everything. So if if you uploaded, if that image got uploaded even without your knowledge, they will find it. Even if you forgot about it, you did it maybe 4 years ago or something, they know what to look for. And yeah, like if you have an exchange account, really be sure not to have a phone number as a two-factor authentication, because that is something that is really easy to go through. A lot of the phone companies don't really ask for a lot to just give your number to someone else, unfortunately. So this is one of the common ways for you to lose your funds. So it's very important to, if and when you create your wallet, to keep it separate from your other accounts, to keep your seed phrase offline, never take a picture, never upload it anywhere, never send it via email to your printer and print it out or something like that. Just write it down and keep it safe somewhere. Ideally, if you want to if you want to kind of upgrade your security and you want to use a ledger or Trezor, you have instructions in the box, so you should follow these instructions. And I know that article that you have from Rich regarding higher security practices for wallets and stuff. I have even higher practices for the metal tablets that you can use to record your seed phrase and to keep it even safer than with paper. But for a beginner, just be sure to make a single copy and to make it securely and on paper. Of course, the metal tablets and the engraving is something that is nice to have as additional security. But if you're not really someone who has some experience, it is more important to keep your seed offline. Do I have anything else for the start? Yeah, I think that's about it for the beginning. Do you have any specific questions? Maybe something you would like me to elaborate?
We have some types in the chat. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
One John in the comments is elaborating and commenting that metal is nice because it's also fireproof, and paper especially can get discarded easily or lost, and maybe if you do have a metal plate or there's a lot of different options that could be good.
Yeah.
Amar in the chat has messaged to make sure you call your cell phone carrier and put an additional layer of security against your identity. So yeah. I'm assuming you could do that and make sure that you're better protected against swim stops. So
yeah, exactly. It often happens with older numbers because in the past, let's say, at least from my experience, we didn't have to give a lot of data, but it also could happen for like family plans and stuff like that, because if someone on the family plan got hacked, and got control over the whole thing, then you could also get compromised.
You ever see cases that's where they are compromised, and of course, there's a financial there's a financial loss that's associated with that, but where that data ever trickles down and is used for other types of fraudulent activity. So not beyond the financial, but maybe they're using that data that they get to open up other types of accounts or anything like that. Any kind of transient properties that are associated with hacking beyond the financial loss.
You mean like, do they use the victim's data to open account on exchanges or something like that, to use their identity?
Yes.
I haven't seen in it because we aren't really we don't have the, let's say, clearance to see personal accounts on other services. This is something that law enforcement can do.
Okay.
But we know for sure that once you become a target, once you are someone who has been scammed or hacked, your data gets passed around to other groups, to other scammers, either resold or shared. And you constantly, of course, get offers, social engineering attacks and stuff like that. So once something like this happens to you, it is really important to kind of step up with your knowledge and education related to the attack, but also like the various ways that you could be attacked in the future. Yeah, so definitely the victims just keep getting spam.
It doesn't stop
and
there.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Especially if it's a SIM swap or if you have a lot of data leaked related to your phone number or your email. You can check yourself on Have I Been Pawned if you want to and see what kind of data has been leaked. So, yeah.
Even more incentive to be secure and educated.
Yeah. And maybe keep your accounts separate if you can. So maybe like a fresh email address for an exchange account where you will apply all the security practices that you should apply, and Google Authenticator or any type of 2FA that would keep that account safe as much as it can be, and to to send your funds to your own wallet and not keep it on the exchange. This is also very important because we know what happened to various exchanges lately, where people lost their funds because they thought, this is a big company, they're gonna keep it safe for me. So right now there's a lot of problems about related to that. So be your own bank if you can, if you feel secure to do that. And of course, I understand that it can be difficult and it can look scary to do that and to take responsibility. So, yeah.
That's what I kind of tell people that I tutor, and Laura knows me talking about this, is like they sometimes, when people need help with this, they sometimes they act like you're the bank, sometimes like you're a teller,
Mhm.
and they want you to do everything, like opening up the bank account for them, like go in there and give them your social and your address and all of that, and the teller does that for them, and they have a bank account. Now they give them some checks, right?
Yeah.
And in trying to coach people on how to do this, I was like, I can't, it's unethical for me to do what you want me to do, but I can help
Exactly.
guide you. But I found that people that are, like you said, like in my experience, people are very vulnerable when they need help, even though they're enthusiastic. But it doesn't quite work like the bank. And like you said, be your own bank, and that's what I say. This is kind of that's part of the purpose of this, is that you have more control and you have more security if you do it the right way.
And one thing that I just wanted to mention, Sasha, that you brought up is the haveibeenpwned.com website, and similar websites that actually go through and tell you, like, is your data already put out in data breaches. So I went ahead and linked that in both the chat for this conversation, as well as the general chat on the server, so people could take a look at that. That's very interesting, and I know maybe you could speak more to this. But once hackers have a certain amount of your data, I know they can target you in the future, and they could keep tabs and open up, and that goes to either the primary hacker or the people that end up with your information. So I thought that was a good note.
Yeah, and about the bank teller thing, this is one of the ways that hackers or scammers also target people. So they tell you, I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to help you create your wallet. I'm going to, send you the links. I'm going to help you make it secure. And then, you give them your phone for 5 seconds Then, they tell you, oh, okay, you just, you have your wallet, then you go to this exchange, you buy, Bitcoin or DigiByte or whatever, send it here, and then once you send it, in 2 minutes, it's gone. And you think, oh, maybe it's a mistake. I don't know what happened. These people, I trust them, they told me how to do it. And these people often pose as big investors, for example. They come and tell you, we have a lot of money. We want to share this with you. We want you to invest. We want to help you. We will tell you the best wallet you can you can set up. And yeah, this is something that happens more often than not. Even to people who have a lot of money and who think, it's again the false security thing. When you meet someone who you think is like you, who wants to help you, and you lose everything, or a lot, unfortunately.
I noticed lately in MetaMask, there's always these coins that get sent to the wallet, some obscure coins, right? Do you see a lot of people getting hacked when they just go to a website and say, oh, look, I got 10 million of these coins. I'm just going to try to cash it out quickly. And then obviously they sign some smart contract and it drains their wallet. Does that happen often?
Actually not. So I know what you're referring to. Those are like spam coins that end up in a lot of wallets. But we have had cases where people signed contracts that drain their wallets. That has happened. But this is usually connected to NFTs. So people are under the impression that they're on OpenSea or something like that, something similar. But it's usually a spoof website that imitates OpenSea or some other kind of NFT merchant site. And then they sign the contract, they initiate blind signing, and then their wallet gets drained for many different NFTs. So, it's best to just check as much as you can, because in that way you minimize your risk. Of course, the risk cannot be zero. It's never going to be zero. You can try and keep yourself safe as much as you can. And of course, if you think that something is too good to be true, it usually is. This is something that Rich often says, and it's very true. If you see 10 million of something that you just have to click something to claim, think about it. But I've seen that a lot of projects like Etherscan are actively working on tagging those kinds of coins and other explorers as well. So it is good to check explorers when you get something like that, and just don't touch it. I know it looks ugly on your wallet, in your addresses, but it's best not to touch it.
Yeah, it'd be great if you can get rid of coins without approving a contract somehow.
Well, you can just, the only thing you can do is contaminate some other address, but it's the same thing. It's either yours or someone else's. So
yeah, I was gonna say, John, and I'm just exactly what Sasha said. I've seen it lots of times in the NFT marketplace, where airdrops come through pretty frequently from unknown sources, and people, unbeknownst to them, interact with the contract in some way and end up exposing their wallet.
Yeah, I'm hearing more and more of that. Another thing I heard of, Sasha, I don't know if this is prevalent, is, back in the day, people would go and, when the DeFi days were hot, they would, go to certain, Web3 sites to stake their tokens using MetaMask, and they would approve contracts. And those contracts have been approved a long time ago. Okay, so they don't do any kind of house cleaning on their wallet. And next thing you know, it gets, for example, there's a token, you never use it. Like you sold most of it out and you might have some dust left. but what they'll do is they'll hack that and then they'll gain access somehow. Or is that happening a lot these days? Because I heard somebody, they had a token approved a long time ago, and it caused them, a hacker, to drain their wallet somehow. And that kind of made me scared. And it's like, okay, how do I see all the contracts that I approve, and how do I, unapprove those things? Like, where do I go to, like, kind of, you know, get rid of those approvals?
We haven't really seen a situation like that. So I don't think we've ever had a case where old coins were the cause of a hack. It's usually when users approve a contract on a spoofed site for like Paraswap or those DEXs that people usually use for exchanging their coins. So I understand what you're asking, but I do believe that MetaMask or like the wallet you're using should have a guide for you to maybe reject the contracts that you have signed. But I would have to get back to you on that because that's not really my specialty.
It looks like Mark posted something where you can disconnect from a contract.
Oh yeah,
but
okay.
that was not intrinsic to MetaMask initially. That's, if that's new, that's cool.
I know that you can connect other wallets to MetaMask. So, for example, I'm using Ledger with MetaMask. Sometimes I'm just using Ledger Live, or other times I'm using Exodus. So it depends on your use case, I guess.
Yeah, and Etherscan has and I'll try to pull it up. It's been a minute since I've gone there, but the Etherscan, you can actually see all of the contracts that you've approved, and you can remove them. Hold on, I'll see if I can find that link.
And I was going to ask you too, Sasha, like, just like in general, when you see like someone getting something stolen because of their wallet or which type of wallet they're using, do you see more in one direction? Like, do you see that more happening on centralized exchanges? Do you see that more happening like a social engineering on hardware wallets? Like, if you had to kind of rate, like, what's kind of the worst offender of these vulnerabilities, what do you think it would be from your perspective?
I would say in general, wallets as pieces of software. I don't think I have encountered a case where the wallet itself was the culprit. So if you're using a wallet that is a part of the community you're in, for example, DigiByte or any other community that is developing a wallet, or if you're using a Coinbase wallet, Exodus or Ledger or Trezor or any of those who are maybe more familiar to people, they are relatively safe unless you do things that are not best security practices. So, as I said in the beginning, I think the most prevalent root cause was actually the victim leaking their seed phrase, unfortunately, or getting their data. I mean, of course, the victim is not to blame if they get in a data leak. This is the blame on the service that did not store the data correctly, usually. So it's some kind of a data leak. It's either a leak of the seed phrase that comes about through social engineering on Telegram or Discord or WhatsApp or Tinder or Facebook or something like that, where one of the common scams is actually the pig butchering scam. I don't know if you've seen some of the articles that we have on that, where people don't even get their wallets hacked, but they just send funds to a fake investment platform, let's say, which is just a scam wallet. It's nothing, that looks like, it may look like an exchange a little bit. There are definite signs that tell you it's not. It's just, a cover for something that I think is real. It's again connected to the need to, make the coin spin, let's say. I know that some people have the need to kind of, get trading or get investing or, make it grow. It's something that causes a lot of losses, unfortunately, especially if people don't really understand how trading works, how transactions work, because, this is not a bank. You cannot get a refund or chargeback or anything. If you send it, it's gone. You will not get it back unless the person you send it to gives it back to you, and that's not going to happen. So, unfortunately, it's usually because people get social engineered to send their coins or to share their seed, or they get data leak, and that's it.
That makes me feel better in a way. I don't know if better is the word, but because I'm not a developer, most of us aren't, and there's just so much we don't know. So it not that I'm happy that it's human error, but that's something that's controllable where you're not seeing like a common software or hardware issue, but more it's the human education and control issue.
Yeah. And kind of further,
to me, that's good news.
and a little further from that, I think there's a lot of parallels in how the general public views these social engineering hacks of crypto and crypto wallets the same way they view them as like a Facebook hack. Like a lot of the times people will say their Facebook was hacked or their Instagram was hacked, and in reality it was the same thing. They got phished and they gave up their credentials. And we see that's probably 99% of what happens in crypto as well. But can you speak maybe on maybe broader trends in the actual hacks and exploits? Does Cipherblade deal with a lot of the actual programming exploits and whatnot that leads to loss of funds for maybe institutions or projects?
We have, but unfortunately, I can't really go into details about that. And this is something that some of my other more technical colleagues do. So I can say that we have worked with some of the projects that were hacked, but I can't really go into detail. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thanks for sharing that much at least.
I mean, it's usually what I said. So unfortunately, it's human error most of the time, and it's just the level of risk that is not accounted for. So companies and projects often hack themselves for no reason. I mean, it's my own opinion that it's for no reason, but it happens. None of us are without mistakes, or mistakes happen all the time, to professionals and to noobs at the same time. I mean, in the same way, let's say. But yeah, I mean, the higher level it is, the higher the losses. So, of course, that if you have a project, it would be wise to kind of consider the level of security that should be in place, because it's not just you, it's not just the board or who or investors or whatever. It's the whole community that can suffer the consequences. So it's very important to kind of not over engineer things from one side, and to be aware what you have in place, and then to kind of first record what you have, and then to try to kind of optimize it if you think it could be better, but not in a way that makes everyone's life difficult. And of course, you have to kind of see what the regulators require from you, especially if you're an exchange or something like that that's more regulated than the project maybe on DeFi. So there are a lot of factors, but it's important to kind of consider different aspects of it and not just, slam a multisig and that's all.
Some don't even do that, but that's for another day. I know we're getting close on time here, so we're kind of wrap up. And anybody wants to stay around, and there were some other discussion topics or points that people want to talk about. But does anybody have any last minute questions for Sasha before we let her fly?
Any memes, maybe? I would enjoy memes.
Oh, okay, Sasha. I see Archie. Archie will probably have one in about 3 seconds. Well, how about we'll do some Sasha Cipherblade memes and we'll put them on Twitter for you. Are you on Twitter?
Not professionally. I need to keep my professional and personal life separate. So
well, we'll make some. I think we can cook up some Cipherblade memes for your talk today for payment. How about?
Yeah, for sure.
I think we can do that, right, Archie?
We'll definitely spin some up, I'm sure.
And I do, I just want to say, again, thank you on behalf of everybody here. We've all been really excited to have a professional in the room with us because we're all, professionals in different areas, but this is not our area. And thank you for sharing resources that you do, on the Medium articles that Cipherblade writes and posts. And, if there's something that I have Cipherblade on my notifications because when they tweet something out, it's like, this is a big deal. And so we try to amplify your voice on social media too, but just thanks again. And we hope you have a lovely Sunday.
Yeah, thank you as well. And really, I enjoyed talking to you and, maybe we'll have another one. Who knows?
Oh, that would be great. I'm sure.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Anytime you want to come back and teach us something, Sasha, we're here to learn. So
yeah.
Well, good luck fighting the bad guys, and
thank you. Cipherblade never sleeps.
Never sleeps. Exactly. I'm like, how do you get somebody to come on Sundays? Like, it's Cipherblade. Somebody's always awake.
Yeah. So. You're an awesome community. Thank you, and see you next time.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, that was an awesome AMA with Cipherblade, Shirley.
I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to get the perspective from the professionals that do this for a living in terms of dealing with scams and helping recover funds. It's really cool stuff that Rich and Cipherblade and Sasha all do. So yeah, but
still human error.
It is, yeah. It's kind of relaxed. It's kind of nice to hear that it is human error. I think Laura, you were speaking on that. Like, it's good to know that the software we're working with is not going to be the main issue.
Well, I remember talking to people like 15 years ago when the cloud was coming in. And of course, I'm trying to sell cloud technology or applications. And I was like, people aren't, grabbing data out of the cloud like this. It's not happening like this. And the more research that we would do on it was like, oh yeah, some doctor downloaded his medical records so he could prepare for his surgeries next week, and then they were stolen out of his car, right? And that's how the breach happened. Or, at the big corporates that I used to work at, flash drives were all in vogue, and then the last 4 or 5 years, flash drives are the devil, and we can't do flash drives anymore, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting how this thing switches up. But speaking of switching up, we had one question that I think it was Amar or John posted, and it's about our topic about DigiByte and wallets. And they're like, are we going to have a new community mobile wallet by the community for the community, and does anyone have any input on that? I know there's a lot of different projects, a lot of different people working on wallets, so I want to know what you guys think.
I think from the core development perspective, the developers, they feel that it should, obviously there has not been a lot of support for the core wallet, right? So they feel that, there should be an open discussion about sunsetting the core wallet. Okay, now they're not saying that that's what should be done. They're just saying that's a topic for discussion. I'm sorry, the mobile wallet, not core desktop. And I think for them, they just want to focus on the core protocol and also open up kind of competition and innovation within the community. You got a lot of guys out there that are kind of stepping up and doing a little bit of value add for the project. And I think it'd be interesting to see people starting to well, if the wallet was going to be sunsetted, it'd be interesting to see who in the community would kind of step up and create a wallet, right? And like Mara's bringing up Securus wallet. That's a Change Angel, right? Or
yeah, it's Jen from Change Angel.
Jen. Yeah,
so they're their own company now, but yes.
Yeah, it'd be great to see different wallets that, obviously the other issue with the core wallet is there's a big push from Change Angel and not Change Angel, from DigiAsset X. They want that incorporated into the wallet. And it's not a fight or anything like that, but in order to get that done, you really need to certify DigiAsset X with DigiByte, right? And that means to submit a PR and kind of get it reviewed by the core developer. So that's a whole different process, right? So to me, I think it's a great idea to have the community build wallets and kind of come up with their own solutions for it. I'm pretty sure Renzo probably can build an amazing wallet, or someone else. But even the fact that it would handle DigiAssets v3 would be great, because obviously there's no in the mobile wallet, there's no plans to do that. So
yeah, I think. Go ahead, Laura. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say Mark has been talking about getting a community funded wallet, and has been doing some research on that. And too, if you want to pop in there, Mark, for what you've been kind of doing your research about.
Yeah, I feel like I was set up in a good way, so I appreciate that. Yeah, two things. One, Renzo and I have had discussion for some time now, and it's on his plans. And I'm gonna work through a little bit of fundraising to help reward him for his time and work, and setting up a light core wallet as a desktop wallet that would have the ability to be a standard compliant wallet, and also have asset interaction capabilities, and then be able to use some of the utility of the DigiByte blockchain that's already built in there in a more user-friendly way. So right now, if you're trying to use multi-sig, or you're trying to use send to many or anything like that, you have to be able to go into that debug console and understand those commands and that sort of thing. So working to build something that utilizes the utility that already exists within the blockchain in a little more user-friendly way, standard compliant desktop wallet. But longer than that, been working through conversation with Komodo regarding essentially a white label version of their Atomic Dex mobile wallet, which just really came out about a month ago in its final version, so to speak, and being able to create a branded DigiByte version of that wallet that we could customize for DigiByte, as well as choose what coins could be added inside that multi-coin wallet, and then have DigiID integrated as well on another mobile ID platform. So pretty cool. And certainly I've talked to a lot of folks, Archie being one of them in here, a number of other community members, are fully aware, and we'll start to set some deadlines and sort of roadmaps in terms of how much funding we need to get it done. But I feel like we're in pretty good shape. I just need to kind of finalize exactly what that multi-sig looks like as we fundraise. One of the goals for this whole process for me has been to show how the blockchain can be used for transparency, by showing exactly where the funds go, looking at what the receiving fund the receiving address for Komodo is going to be, and it's going to be a very public sort of enterprise, and that's really what I was hoping to show in all of this as the community comes together to say this is something that we need and we believe in. We're going to fund it through individual efforts. So it should be an interesting exercise. I'm excited. I feel like we've got a pretty decent consensus on the need for it, and beyond that, I feel like we have a pretty decent amount of folks that are willing to contribute already.
And to add to that, I think the mobile wallet, the desktop wallet, I think it's very important to update it. I think we talked a lot in DigiByte about the theoretical and the mining algorithms and where we want to go with development. But for probably like 90% of people in the community, their biggest interface with the blockchain is the mobile DigiByte wallet. And we give a lot of grief to that wallet. It's not perfect, but it was very revolutionary, I feel like. I think it was one of the best wallets a couple of years ago. I think it had that DigiAsset interactability, in 2019. And it was really something. And I think we just have to, as a community, upgrade that, build what we want to build, and show the people, like, even now people are impressed with the DigiByte mobile wallet once it's all synced up. And they transfer the money, and they see how fast it is. It being a SPV node wallet, I think there's a lot of potential, and I'm really a big fan of the work that Mark is doing here as well. And I'm really excited for what Change Angel, DigiAssetX, other partners, other people in the community can do. I think the ecosystem will be buffed out, and before we know it, as long as we stick to it.
It'll be great to see like even 2, 3, or 4 different wallets that are all standard compliant, all have DigiAsset support. It'd be great to see that, versus depending on one wallet that's, not really being maintained properly.
Yeah, and that was one of the considerations too, John, was having the access and ability to work with a team of developers, be able to have asks of them and be able to troubleshoot things and go with different ideas and different approaches to make enhancements over time, so that we're not necessarily putting this on the core developers and waiting on those groups who have enough on their hands, quite frankly, to be able to do these things. And so that's been a really interesting challenge to think through. Sorry, I'm getting like 1,000 notifications.
I was wondering who that was. I'm like, is that me? Where's that coming from? It's Mark. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, because I think Archie makes a good point, and kind of back to Patrick's point, really too. Wallets are a really important part of the infrastructure of crypto, and it is the first. It's really the first layer interaction that all of us deal with, right? To even be able to participate. So no, I'm excited. I'm excited that we know 2 that are being either talked about, planned, or actively in development right now, which is awesome. And then how does a wallet get sunsetted? That's, I think, a conversation for another day, because that's like its own hour-long conversation, because I think whatever happens, we need to do it really mindfully, and it's like a room full of sleeping cats, right? So whatever we do, to do together mindfully, as much of a core group of the community as possible.
Yeah, no, I get it, Laura. Like it 100%. And we see it happen and talked about probably more frequently now than we have ever before. And knowing that this May deadline's coming up, at least on the iPhone app, has got me a little bit on edge, because I want to make sure that we're not leaving community members out in the cold, so to speak. should they lose access to their phone or something like that. And I know everybody in this room's probably helped somebody else, try to recover or help them resync or try to help guide them through, which is God bless you for doing it. But it would be great if we had that point of interaction where people, to Archie's point, this is like the most common point of interaction is when they open that wallet, and for it not to be a source of frustration, but actually help them understand the technology, even guide them through. From my perspective, it's one of the things that Renzo and I talked about at length was how do we have the wallet itself start to educate the user as to what's going on and show them kind of step by step, what the fundamental idea of what they're doing is. And then what are these things that are happening on top of the blockchain, and start to just build on their foundational knowledge while they're interacting with the wallet, so that we're teaching along the way. And I don't know that I'll be able to, accomplish that through a mobile setting, but certainly through the desktop setting would be a goal for us.
I think that sounds great. Well, I think we're creeping up on 4:15, so anybody's welcome to stay and hang out and talk more. But I also know we're trying to keep it within a good. We don't want to turn into the 6-hour Twitter Spaces. But before we wrap it up, does anybody have anything else that they wanted to bring up?
Speaking of Twitter Spaces, I guess we'll just do a plug for the DigiByte Awareness Team hosted Twitter Space. It's a Twitter Space. We'll see. We might have to switch on the fly because there have been some documented issues with Twitter and Twitter Spaces, given they're doing back-end stuff over Twitter trying to make a profit. So we will do an event on DigiByte's birthday. I think the DigiByte Awareness Team was leaning towards a Twitter Space around 6 p.m. Eastern. It's a Tuesday. Might be a little tough to make, but everyone here is more than invited to come over, join, and have another discussion just in a couple days. We've been talking DigiByte a lot recently. Amar, Shane is going to be tweeting that from the main DigiByte Awareness Team channel today. If you want to do an independent tweet from the DigiByte coin, I can send you the info as well. That would be awesome. Sweet. So I'll get that to you.
All right, guys. And then next month, our topic's going to be nodes. I'm hoping to tap Ali, who's been doing a lot of work in that realm, and also Renzo. And, so think about that topic. If you have any suggestions, questions, whatever you want to send my way, please do. And like I said, we're going to freshen up a couple of those slides on the PowerPoint presentation based on what we got from today. And we'll put that in the resources channel, in the archive. And then also Patrick has a little kind of a mini lesson that he did on wallets too, that Patrick, I think that would probably be good to put in resources as well.
Yep. So
like, if you just want to do again, if you have physical community or virtual community that you're working with that you want to use, a framework for wallet discussion, we'll post those in resources. So look for those in the next couple of days. I'm reading the comments. Thanks everybody for your well wishes, and thank you for coming out on a Sunday. Thanks again, Archie.
Yeah, no worries. So that about wraps it up. I'm going to go over to OBS and